Well, when one thing goes, seems like everything goes. Okay,
Okay.
let's see.
This one is under glass, so it might have a reflection.
Wow,
Aw, that's
great
beautiful.
values, excellent composition, and love the colors. Very playful in the colors, which I would understand that would be dead on with the children. Nicely
Right.
done, Helen, and good luck. That's
Thank you.
a nice piece. Should be proud of
That's
that.
that's my first one. I did win.
Good.
I did win a blue ribbon with that one at the state fair,
Uh-huh.
and this is my other one.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. I did see that somewhere before.
Well, you
I
saw
really like
my
that too.
draft.
Yeah, it's
Special.
the shadow, the way you did the shadow is just so tasteful and different, and it's got a wow factor. And of course, composition, the way you let the lighter go where the focal point is, which is the upper right. All the lines point to the upper right, and we all want to go to the upper right, and we just want to follow along with these people where they're going. So that's a great story. So
It's the
nicely
same
done.
two girls,
What's that?
same two girls and their dads. My two sons and their daughters.
That's
That's really
wonderful.
cool.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But I took the picture of them going into Hooters,
Uh-huh.
and then I decided to take them to the beach. And my
Oh,
4-year-old granddaughter told her 12-year-old sister that I took them to the beach because I could.
oh, well, I even like it better when it's a story like that and spontaneous. So that's really nicely done.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else have anything to share before we were rudely interrupted?
You can take the spotlight off me.
Okay, well, here we go. Yeah. It's okay, we're all set. Yeah, my security thing keeps going off. I have a sensor, and all those people in my yard are the cable guys. They keep setting it off, so I had to turn that off. Okay, I'm ready, and I've been painting a lot. I got my 2 entries in, and I don't know if you want to see them or not.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes. It doesn't cost any extra, Robert.
Yes, we want to see them.
Here's the first one. Here's the first one, which I've showed you before. And I've also figured out how to, let's see, zoom in. Okay, I have a little remote control. Turn that on. And I think you've seen that one. It's black and white. And the reason I did it is I did it for a show. It's because I looked, there aren't very many with black backgrounds, and watercolor, it's not always easy to pull that off. So I thought, who knows, that might get entered or accepted.
What did you use for your black?
It's all watercolor and no black. So
I know, but how did you make your black?
And burnt sienna.
Okay, my go-to.
Then
Oh,
this is one that I like. And I started this some time ago. I think you've seen it. I probably painted it 4 or 5 times, different versions, just to get the feel of it. But I like the way it came out, and especially like the composition. I like that flow, and I took probably 300 pictures just trying to get the composition right with a hand that way, and then with her hand this way. It's kind of funny telling them how to sit. And then she's down here. And of course, at the same time, I asked them to be sad. But anyway, I'm pleased with that.
Yeah. Could you?
Very
could you-
nice.
Ron, could you show the woman's face closer?
The what?
The face on the woman closer?
Sure. Let me turn my volume up over here. Let's see. Yes, I can zoom in on this. I have this trusty remote control now.
Wow.
But you can see it's not very tight. It's very loose. But in watercolor, it's kind of, I think it's cool when you get back from it, it looks pretty decent. So there are the faces. So you put them all together and see how it looks.
Mhm.
Kind of cool. Yeah, so they're the people that did live across the street. They moved. She's from one of the countries outside of Russia, so she's very, very upset. And anyway, I won't go into that. All right, everybody ready?
Ready.
You can see this. So that's my reference photo. And then I'm going to show you my the ones that I practice with. And I always practice a little bit. Every painting that ends up done, I probably have done 3 versions of it. So let me show you the first one I got a kick out of. So I said in my mind, what if I start with the background and start with cold colors first, okay? So that's my experiment. So let me zoom in a little bit on that. It's awful, but I just want you to see it. Just to prove I can be awful too. Look at that. But I put weight. In some ways, there's things I like about it. And I'm going to show you what I like about it. What I learned and I really like are the colors, these kind of colors right in here. I like that. Kind of the oranges and golds right in there. That it actually wouldn't have been too bad if I hadn't put so much blue on the first time through. And then down here, I put blue. And of course, I put an orangey yellow. Now the complement of blue is orange, but it does have a little yellow, so it looks green. So you have to be careful. And I'm going to show you a video here in a minute of that I captured on the internet, and which got me thinking about doing that. And that's starting with a background and starting with your cold colors first. So I'm going to continue actually to experiment with that. So here's another one I did of her. And this time, what I was playing with were the colors themselves. So this, they're not too bad, but I still am not happy with those colors. And even though I, laid them out on a piece of paper, but I do kind of like the hair a little bit. So, and the teeth came out decent. But see this line right here? Of course, I wasn't trying real hard. It's just, I was just playing. And then don't go anywhere. Here's one I really like because of the color. I'm going to see if you like it, but it's play. But what I like are some of these colors kind of in here, the overall color value. And this, I started with blue also. I started with my blues and purples in some of these areas and in the hair. So again, part of the message is what I'm trying to do is also encourage you to play and have some fun. And then, and this is one I started last night and decided I wanted to just go play Xbox. But anyway, that's where we are. So we're gonna paint that today. I'm also gonna tee up a let's see if I can do it. This, I don't know what's wrong with my system today, but if I can tee up this, I'm gonna see if I can tee it up. I'm gonna see if I go to, let me think just for a second. I'm trying to figure out how to minimize this. Do you know how to minimize the Zoom screen? Oh, well. I'll try one thing. Okay, I guess not.
There's a, if you go into where it says more, it says minimize meeting. Does that help at all or not?
Yeah, I went into more, but it doesn't say that. Live, Facebook, I can see maybe, I really want to show you this video. I took a couple pictures of it, but it doesn't do it justice. Just a second. I don't know. I usually have two monitors going and can flip back and forth. And see what you see if you see this. No, it's black. Oh well. The best plans of mice and men. I'll go back. All right, so what I'll do is I did, anyway, the photograph, it's of James Harden, basketball player. And it's by a Asian artist, Cha Yian. And I'll show that video. I'll send it to you, is what I'll do. And so he begins with, look at this, it's all greens, all the cold colors, no purples, but he starts with all the blues and greens. And you think for a second, and it's the video is amazing because I'm saying to myself, I know it's going to come out great, but it's not going to work. But the key though is he has his values right. All right. So here's the finished piece. I wish you could see it on video. Look at this now. You don't see that blues. So here's the contrast between the two. But the reason I bring it up, I was just preparing, and I want to talk to you about is where to start your painting. So this is a way that this Chaoyan, way he starts, he'll start with the blue. The other, I did some clips, and I wish I could show you, and I'll send you the video, of the two ways that watercolor artists start, and we talk about it. Some start from the outside in. In other words, they do the background, and they come into the face. They'll even bring in some of the color into the face. And then there are those like me that start at the face and work out. And either way works. And if you focus on one area at a time, then some artists, they don't do that. They have an overall wash. They'll start in the middle like we do, like I've showed you. And then what they'll do, I have to have some audio visual of some kind. There we go. So what they'll do is they'll do the wash, but they do the entire wash, that light wash in the background, the whole thing at once. I've done that quite a few times, but generally I just start here. So today, what I'm going to do is do a wash over the whole painting, okay? And then tone it. I'll tone up here with just maybe some browns, down here with some flesh tones, and down here maybe just a touch of that. So that's how I'm going to start this one today. So even, when I start a painting, I always think, well, now how am I going to start this one today? And usually it's based on what I learned. And so there's my, and I'll put up the reference. Are any of you going to paint this one?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Or you have one you're going to paint?
Oh, I'm going to do that one, Ron.
Okay.
I'm
Are
painting
you,
my own.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ron, are you taking the Chai Young approach right now,
Am I what?
Ron? When you do this one now, are you taking the Chai Young approach?
Would you like for me to?
Well, I would.
It's likely to, what I found out, it's not really a good one to start with the blue. I'll show you why, the one I did.
We
There's
saw
not-
it turn green.
Yeah, the only dark area on her is the hair.
Well,
Whereas on Hardin, he had a lot of dark contrast because of the beard. So it worked real well. And also the way the light was coming down, very dark under there. However, I'd be more than happy to do it because it's all fun for me. What would you like? A vote?
Fine.
Or it doesn't matter?
I'll go with the group.
Okay, Ruth, what do you say? Who? Okay, you'll go
I'd like
with blue.
I'd like to see the
All
Chai
right.
Young approach.
All right, let me get my palette together.
I thought you were going to get a calculator for the voting.
Yeah, I know. Isn't there a voting thing on this thing?
Yes, there is.
I knew you'd know.
But it has to be set up in advance.
Oh, okay. There we go. You can see my palette now, I think. Okay. You see my nice clean palette and gonna clean it out just like you would do or we're going to do right now. And one of the key things, again, about painting portraits is a clean palette. And there's a reason I know this. It's about the time I want a nice, clean, fresh color. I noticed that some other paint went into it. And by the way, I live in a historical home, and this is kind of funny. The floors are not level. And you'll see the paint migrate and water will go this. It will go that way, or this way. And yeah, they fixed it again. There we go. That'll work. And so I've got it clean. I'm always excited. I don't know about you all, but even when I'm playing or practicing, I love to start a painting. And what I'm going to use today, I'm going to use the silver black velvet oval brush. And see, it's got a point to it, and it holds a lot of paint. Now, the caution when using this type of brush that holds a lot of paint, you got to be careful that you don't drop a lot of paint, because it's so full, you could drop paint in areas you don't want. And in paint colors, we always start with basically 3 colors. However, when we're doing the entire background, I'm going to want to have as many variations I can get, and they're not going to be real dark. So I just want some variations to it. And I can do that just making some puddles here. So I'm going to pull some of these colors a little bit later.
Just tell us what colors you're using, Ron, as you go.
Okay, I started off with the Indian yellow, and then yellow, not lemon, just regular yellow. That would be the cadmium. A little violet, a little zillion. Oh no, that would be quinacridone magenta, opera rose, and red, and burnt sienna. So this one has mostly a touch of burnt sienna and a little yellow in it and a little this in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more, which will be a blue. And because, see it running? I got to get to work here.
Is that ultramarine?
So I'm going to paint that pretty light. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay. Hold on a second. We'll go with something. I'm gonna put her down here. Sorry about that. There. That's a little more organized. So I'll clean this off. It's already messed up. So back to a little Indian yellow, little opera, and a touch of burnt sienna. Over here, I'm going to add on the cold side some more blues. And I started, and you can see I'm just putting some blues, and it's very, very wet. And I'm going to just go right into the hair. See that? And then what I'm going to add now are some of these colors, and they're going to blend in with the other. And I'm going to pull some red over here. And I'm not going to worry about the teeth because this is so light, it won't matter. And it looks like I got a little bit of granule of, but I'll show you what I'm going to do before I finish this. And then I'm going to put a little bit of purple down in here. And then I'll continue here. But see, I didn't stay within the lines. It's all very much a general. And then what I can do with paper towel is I'm just going to pull a little bit up on those teeth. Just pull a little of that off. See, I lightened that up right there. I don't know if you can pick that up or not. And I'm going to do the same thing here with the eye. And also, let's see if I can just lighten that area a little bit. So anyway, that's a way of starting. Let me finish the background. Okay, so that's a way of starting. It's not really going to be seen except, as we know, when it gets to a very state where this is the white that we're showing through. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to start another one a different way. So we'll get two going here.
Do you want us to do it too?
Yes,
At
I
the
do.
same time?
I do.
At the same time?
Yep. And I'm going to allow you to do that. That's the kind of guy I am. I'll put mine back over here. Most of this will not be seen, so we're just going for the tonal value. And this will be the same tones of the paint that we'll be applying.
Was that you, Ron, or the cable people?
So how you doing?
Uh, Trying to make sure I leave some white in the
overworking
eyes
it.
and on the teeth.
Okay, all finished up there? Okay, I want to show you real quick. I think these are, yeah, these are easier. Okay, here we go. I want to show you real quick. First off, this is James Harden by Chow Yun, and you can see that a little better. Hold on, got a phone call coming through. There we go. And then I want to show you the finished product I didn't have. Here's what it looked like when it's finished.
Oh,
So look at this from here to there, starting off with blues. And that's pretty much an unconventional approach. And I thought it would be worth sharing. And if you guys want to experiment with it, that would be fun. Also, I want to show you this video real quick. I'll wait for Rob to get back. And I put this together yesterday because I really want you to see that, how some artists start their paintings. And I'm experimenting with what I'm thinking about doing is actually doing one of those myself, just see if I can copy the artist. It's a great technique to learn. Of course, you can't do anything with a painting, but it's just to see if you can adapt those same brush strokes and etc. Okay, everybody ready for the video? All right.
What's the video
Ready.
on?
And I'm going to show you. The video is on Watercolor Portrait Basics, How to Start. And I'm going to show you two methods for how to start your painting. This is what I wanted to show you earlier, but the internet problem. But anyway, I got it working while you guys are painting. So this one, you're going to start with a background and you work into the subject. This is Yan Chen, another Asian. They have the most dramatic, I think, painting technique on watercolor. And I just love his style. I don't like, he goes a little bit too photographic, but if I could do it, I would not complain. And this will speed up here in a second. So he's already beginning to put some shape in the background, and he comes back again, and that background is very wet still. I can see the reflection there on the bottom.
What kind of brush is he using, Ron?
He's using a Chinese brush. It's a flat brush, and I don't know the name of it. But since he's from China, he can use that. But you see, it's about a 3-inch flat brush. He uses it pretty much the whole painting. He uses the side of it for the detail. when he gets to the eyes, he brings out I believe he brings out a round brush. And some of the real fine detail that has a fine tip on it. There it is. That's the one he's using. Looks like almost, that's a flat. There's flat again. So he's got 3 brushes he's using. So all that area up there, you can tell that it's pretty wet or damp because when he lays it down, the edge is softened. And then there's one where you start and you work outward. More what I'm used to here. And see, he's still going, before he even finishes the face, he's still throwing paint in the background. If you look on the right side of her hat, he allowed that color of the hat to go right into the background. It's a technique for consistency of tones, especially overall, like in the background, where sometimes you can do that. The other technique is to let that slide over. It does suggest motion if you just slide the brush across and just take that paint. There's an artist that I should have showed his example, but he does that. He's pretty loose, so I really like the minimal amount of brush strokes, and again, it's back to shapes. When he first started this, I thought it was going to be way too dark, but he protected those light areas, so there's nice contrast to the contour of the nose, the little light that catches the lip, the light that catches the chin, and below the eye and the top. So in doing that, what he was able to do is composition-wise, what he was able to do is show that contrast, and it really makes the eyes, when you view it, see those reflections. And so that's an example of just a heavy contrast, but by having those white highlights make a huge difference. So how are you all doing? Did you get your, lay down your wash?
Yeah, could you take a look, Ron, to see if, about where I am on this approach? Okay.
Sure.
Let's see. Is that showing up?
Yeah, it's first off, it's very good. You almost started painting there with the eyebrow. But basically what you've done is you've laid down your basic colors, and those are the colors that will be the lightest that you'll use in those areas. So that will work quite nicely, Rob. And
okay, what I'm wondering about is, am I going too far right away painting shapes? Because everything I did was separate. It didn't blend together.
Yeah, well, I didn't either. So, I still separate some of mine.
Okay.
You can see it still has some form to it. But the idea, now, if you do it like we saw in the other person, there was no distinction whatsoever. It was just a nice, a nice flow went down this way. And why you start at the top is for those people who paint on an incline, because the paint will roll down. If you're painting flat, you can probably start wherever you want. Good. Anybody else want to share?
Here's mine. I'm doing my aunt.
Oh, let's see if I can enlarge that. Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yes, okay. It's very light. That's a great, you're going to be happy with that. Great way to start. You didn't get in trouble anywhere. So what this is going to tell you, when you think about this, you're going to stick with those tones throughout. You're not going to change them up. And then what it'll do, it'll be another layer of the transparent colors, pigments that go right along with that theme you have. So that'll work out great. Anybody else dare to share? Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to continue on. And can you see that? Is that full screen? When you're-
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. I don't have my monitor on, so I have to kind of wing it here a little bit. All right, so we're going to paint shapes and we're going to stick with those colors. So again, is where you start. You can start anywhere. And you can start with the big shapes or the small shapes. Let me tell you what I mean by big shapes. If I were to say big shapes, I would look at that and see that overall, see that pink and brown or tonal color, that is a shape, gets light here, and that's a shape, that's a shape, and that's a shape, that's a shape. Big picture. So if I were to do that, I'm going to put my Indian yellow, a little bit of rose opera rose. And so what I do is I'm going to lay that down. And I see a little more pink right up in here. So I'm going to paint, now I'm painting the big shapes. And it's pretty wet. And I'm going to make sure I remember to soften up some of these edges as I go, so I don't get in trouble later. So it's just another layer, and I'm going to paint the big shape. So it doesn't include the eyes. And I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to leave that. And then I'm going to work this in here in a second. And then again, painting that shape, I see that shape really is softened, and that shape softens right here. So I'm just going to soften those edges. And I'm going to continue on. Try not to get in too much trouble here. I've got a big brush. Probably should have got a smaller brush for this, but that's all right. Oh, I'd rather put it on fast. I'm going to add a little rose opera to that ear. And that's because the blood, the skin is transparent. So it's going to show what's underneath, and we kind of know, because we all took botany, that there's blood inside our body. I know a lot of you didn't know that. I'm going to soften up just a couple more lines.
Botany.
Soften that up a little bit, and then fix this a little bit right here. Soften that up a little bit. So what I've done is I've painted a shape. And so there's the shape. So the next part is just paint the large next layer of that shape that we see. Now I gotta be careful when it's wet. It's very easy. You either keep it very wet or or you paint it dry. And there's no in between because you'll get blossoms. Um, so let's give that a try and see what comes out of it. So the goal of this second layer is to begin reinforce the tone and start honing in on some of the big shapes, not the small shapes, but just the big shapes. So how are you all doing? You may be overworking it. Just want to make sure. So does anybody want to show, or are you ready for me to move on to another shape? I'll be at your disposal here.
Mine's still a little wet, but I'll show.
To oh, let's see. Hold on. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so you're just painting those big shapes. Very good. I love the little touch of rose in her cheek there on our left side. It looks like just has a little touch of rose. That's nice. Nice touch. Very good. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so I'm going to use a number 3 Kolinsky Rhapsody version of the Kolinsky red sable brush. Like I said, number 3. I'm going to start painting the shapes of the eyes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with burnt sienna I'm going to, her eyes are very, I see grays and blacks in there. So I'm going to produce a gray, black. I'm just going to use burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And you can see that's a, if you can see my palette. No, you can't see my palette. Hold on. Now you can. It's a very light gray. And I'm not going to go on real dark yet, but I'm going to look for these shapes. So we'll start on the left. That way I can not worry about getting my hand in it. So I'm just going to follow it. It's going to be lighter than what it's going to be, but this will be the value that I see inside the eyes, and I'll change the color of that. This will be the value I see in the eyes. So I'm just taking my time and painting what I see. And again, this has a, let me put a little more blue in there and give it, this looks a little bit too brownish for me. There we go. And I'm going to paint, it has just a touch of blue. I'm going to leave a highlight there. I'm going to add a little green because and this is just, I think, forest green or sap green. And so I get just a little bit of a turquoise of her eyes. Again, the same value. Yeah, that's what I wanted right there. And I don't know if it shows up or not. Maybe we should zero in a little bit. What do you think? There. All right. So that has a little tone of turquoise. I just put a little blue and green together, give me a little turquoise. And what I will do is I'll come in and lift that in spots to give it that look. So I'm gonna, while I have that in my, I'm using a light blue here. I forget the name of that. But any blue will work with just a little green. Gives me that bluish green look I want. Add a little, so I'm looking, trying to just get that shape down that I see. I'm not worried if it's too dark right now because I'm going to lighten it with, yeah, looks pretty good. And let me show you what I mean by, I take a dry, damp brush and I'm going to lift a little bit of that on the eye, that shape I see. And what I like about it, it's a very, it's got texture to it. So I'm mimicking what I see there. And sometimes I'll see just a little bit of yellowish in there. So I'll put a touch of Indian yellow in there just to give some of that. So it looks somewhat believable. So that's what I did. So this is all one shape here. It's the eyelash or the lid with the eyelash. I'm not putting any detail in about the eyelash. And then the same thing over here, I painted the eye. So this is the shape I was going for. And I'm going to stay right there. While it's still wet, I'm going to put a little dark color on the outside while it's wet. That way it it'll be a soft edge to it. And that's reasonable. I don't put the iris in until it dries because we want that to be. So how you doing with your eyes? The eyes have it, you know. We're even lighten this up a little bit. Does anybody have any questions? That looks better there. See how that looks? Has that little Indian yellow tinge to it. So we're getting pretty granular here, but I thought we would just kind of take it slow and just do one shape at a time. I got my coffee ready, so. And I'll continue on with my ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. It's a number 3, but it has a very, very tight point on it, very sharp point. And I like that. So I'm going to reinforce a couple things I see in here. Well, it's still a little bit damp. It's perfect. I ran that across here. And what happens is that runs down a little bit to almost suggest the eyelash. And then over here, a little bit too dark, but I can just lighten that up now. And I'm going to go ahead and put a few little suggestions of eyelash here. They'll come in handy later. And the that line that's above, I don't know if you can see, there's a line above this, is the crease on the eyelid. I'm not going to paint that black. I'm going to paint it probably a reddish brown. And while I still have that in, I'm going to go with a very light gray and do the eyebrows, very light gray. I don't see any brown, and I will texture that by just lifting. What I do is lift it, one stroke across, see that, one stroke, very light, and then I lighten some of the spots to suggest his eyelid. Not eyelid, I mean eyebrow. And that's I just used the gray that I was using. And just keep it light. It was one stroke across, then clean out your brush and lift a little bit and cause a little bit of texture in there. And it begins to look like an eyelash. Well, actually, it looks a lot like an eyelash. Now tell me to slow down. I will. I'll just keep moving. You say, well, hold on a second. I'd like to finish that. I'm going to leave that black gray in my palette. It'll come in handy a little bit for some of the eyes yet, and definitely for the hair. So I'm going to touch up the eyes just a little bit, because what I see is some dark spots, and I'm just going to lay in some reddish blue and darken the outside and the top, because the shadow cast from the eyelid will also hit the eyeball. There'll be a slight shadow there. Now I'm going to paint, I forget the name of it. The inside is, I believe it's where the tear duct is. For now, we'll call it the tear duct. That way you'll know kind of where I'm talking about. And it's just a little bit of a light pink. You can use a opera rose, but I'll use the magenta and just paint in that shape right there. It's just one shape. And I did notice I lost a little bit of the white right here, so I'm going to lift this on her far eye. It should be a little bit lighter right there, so I can come back. I'll fix that. So I just lifted a little bit of that. When it dries, I'll come back in. Now I'm going to mix up, stay with the same flesh tones I've been using on the underlay, which are Indian yellow, yellow, and burnt sienna. And I'm going to use, this has a lot more water in it. In one stroke, I'm going to paint. I'm going to paint this shape right here, that darker spot underneath her eye. So I'm going to bring my brush across and lift it as I come across like that. I don't know if you can see this. So it's like that. So I will demonstrate. No pressure on me now, of course. So there's the shape. It starts here. I'm going to go across. Okay, I'm ready. That's it. And then I'm going to take the bottom part of that shape and go across. And then with the same brush, I'm going to soften the edges. That was fun. Let's see how you do with that. That's just that one shape underneath the dark spot underneath her eye. And I went across and I lightened the left side of that eye because it gets lighter. The light is hitting that left side. And I'm going to do the other eye, that same shape over there. Again, one stroke for the top, one stroke for the bottom. And then I will diffuse or feather the other side. Looks like she's been in an accident right now, but tell her it's going to be okay. So let's go over, if you're ready, we're going to go over to the ear, because I need that color. Just no, let's keep it simple. Let's go down that same color. I'm going to put a little water in that to lighten it up. You can see my palette. It's much lighter. I added water to it. So I'm going to get the shape above the eye. And it's much lighter. And it's that shape right here. Clean brush, feather it out on this side. And that's what I see. So we're painting shapes, and it's kind of a review. When you talk about shapes, some people kind of forget, this is a very cellular or very approach just to take one shape at a time. There are those that are able to just apply paint. It looks like it's very random, but they have the ability to do that. Or better said, they prefer that. So I'm going to come across that shape above her other eye. Going to paint that. I'm going to look real close at my reference painting reference photo, and I'm going to copy that. It's a little darker when it starts, but definitely gets lighter over here. So I'm just going to fade that out. And I do like that so far. So far, I'm liking it. It's okay if that little bit of that color goes up in the eyebrow. And there's one more shape above on our left side, her eye, and it's a little darker right here. that area is dry. It needs to be, I don't know if you can see it, look on the reference photo, it's darker. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of that there and feather it out from there. I put some right there, that one to get that shape. Look real close, you can see it above there's just a little darker spot on her eyelid. So the eye is dry. I'm going to go ahead and put the pupil in. I lost the highlight on that. So I'm just going to look at what I have. I'm just pay close attention to really close attention to my reference photo. Get that in the right spot. And this really, that little data point makes a big difference right away. You'll see in the believability of your the eye that you've just painted. And that is a shape that we're painting. It's all about the shapes. Kind of scary when I blow it up like this, like, oh. You can see the shadow that I put in. So I'm just going to increase that. There's a little shadow goes across here. It caused from the eye. And that little data point is very helpful. I know it's kind of small, but just a little bit of a shadow across the entire eyeball that's cast from the eyelid. Now I'm going to put the suggestion of the lower eyelash. I'm going to try not to do a lot of too many lines that aren't there, but it's very textured. I just use the side of the brush. And when they're all put together, that's the shape that you're wanting. So I just painted the lower shape. And on the other side, oh, by the way, I'm going to make it a little darker. So I'm going to take some of that red. I'm going to make it darker right along here. See that? I made that darker just along there. And I'm also going to make this a little bit darker too. And on the other side, I'm just going to pretty much leave it. And I'm going to paint that shape that I see right there. That is on the lower shadow of her left eye, her left. And now for the lips. Who's ready for lips? So the first shape on the lips, I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to pick the dark spot. And see this shape that goes right across here, a little bit darker. I'm going to paint that line right across here. I'm going to paint that dark line right there. And then I'm going to pull some of that paint. So it's real dark right in there. See how that's dark? Across here it's dark, and then there's the bottom of the lip. She doesn't have a very large upper lip, and she has a lot of gum showing. So I have to decide, do I really want to show the reflection of her gums, you know, the light in there. So I'm going to use magenta and just a touch of violet in there. It gives me a really dark red, and that's all I want. And it's just a very thin line, so I have to be careful. I'm holding my brush like this. So the further you move up this way, the more precision. If you paint this way, less precision. And if you want no hardly any control, you hold it way back there. So I'm holding the brush tight because this is a very much a precision. I can see my lines that I've drawn. Thank goodness they're pretty close. And I'm going to just paint that line. It also, I like painting that line because it is a good reference point for everything else. So there's just some shapes I see. It's just a line, that's one shape. And then the other goes here. And it's just a small line like that. So it looks something like that. I just took some of that extra paint and put it in this other area. It'll come in handy later. So instead of lifting it, I just pulled it. So now with one stroke, I'm going to paint the upper lip. The upper lip is very pinky. The colors are kind of washed out. So I'm going to go with my Opera Rose and my magenta. And I'm just going to follow that line again. And it's going to be dark, but then I'm going to come back and give some texture to it. So I'm just following that line. And then I'm just going to soften that up with a damp brush. And what it does, it gives just a little bit of texture that I wanted. Yeah, looking very close, you can really see every little brush stroke, which is great. And now that same color, upper rose with a little bit of magenta. I want you all to watch this if you can, but it's one stroke and it goes like this. See if I can get it. Gonna leave some blanks here. And then that's the shape. And what I'm doing is, oops, I messed up that shape. Let's see if I can fix it. You see where I mixed up? So I'll lift that up a little bit. And it worked. And then I come back and I'm going to go ahead with that lower part of the lip, darker. Yeah, I left those little white spots, and so I'm just going to put some texture in there. Got a little glare from my light, I see. So it's got some, see how it's got like these little texture things, and then I lift a little bit more and right along there. So that's the shape I see. I did a little carried away down here, so I'm going to lift that. It's just with a damp brush. Yeah, I have, my paper has, some reason has some scratches on it. That's not paint, it's, wasn't careful, but that's okay. Now I'm going to do the gums. I'm just going to go across with that light pink I had. And I'm going to make sure I add just a little more on the red side, the magenta side of pink. And I'm just going to go across and paint what I see. It's a very light value, so it's got some water in it. I'm not going to worry about the highlights, but it's a much lighter value, probably a number 20 value, maybe 30, maybe 25 and a half. And I just go through. Just putting it ever so low. So what that looks like from a distance looks more like that. I can check my values, see if I need to fix any. We're always on the search for the value, make sure I got the shapes right. Then I'm going to paint that shape I see underneath. So I'm going to use that same red underneath the nose. I used that same red I had and just added a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to go across here. Hit one line, I go across, and then I push down on my brush and it gets thicker. And now I lift, soften the edges. And that's kind of what I was looking for. Yep. Might want to shape that edge a little bit. It's not a box, it's a lip. It's a lip. It's kind of weird when you go that close in and see somebody's painting, because usually we look at about here. So you're getting to see the details. So you can see the values are coming in nicely. And I do want to show you the color for the skin. I mean, the teeth. Oh, I see what's going on over here. Both cameras are picking up on the signal. So what I use for teeth, save some of that grayish color that's got a little bit of burnt sienna right here. See that color right here? It's that gray that we mixed up. What I'm going to do is put a little lemon yellow in it. And so I'm looking for kind of an ivory color, not green, but ivory. So if it looks greenish, you add a little bit of pink to it. I just happen to have a little pink over there. And that's the ivory color. So it's at, so the base of that would be ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, very little, lots of water, a touch of yellow. And if it turns to blue, you can add a little touch of red to it because the burnt sienna has red in it. And that's why it works. So I'm just going to put a light coat of that color on her teeth. And I'm just going to lift a little bit here and there. And when we get the other color, it won't look like she has yellow teeth. Yeah, my paint is going down in this scratch over here. So that's not a cavity, that's a scratch in the paper. But that's the excuse I'm using today. I'm going to shape up the lips while I'm here. The bottom line of the lips is darker. And I'm using the Opera Rose and the magenta. And coming right along in there. And then is where I'm going to put some lines. And some other shape I see over here. Just looking for those shapes, see if I can mimic them. And at the same time, get the values right. It's just attention to details. And when you're working this small, sometimes you have to really pay attention to the details or just go for it. So I usually, if I'm painting this small, oh good, that got me what I wanted. So there we have it. Now, what I see between the teeth is pretty much that same color I had. I put a little yellow, a little gray I had mixed up over here. It looks a little bit green. I put a little bit of rose color. It's almost like I see a golden color. And if you don't have to put these in, but I'm going to use it to darken some of the teeth. Which will give us an illusion. I got a real bad scratch across this paper. So it looks like she does have a cavity now that I mentioned it. So I just put the cavity in the wrong place. So I'm just going to lift up a little bit of this, make it some of these teeth a little bit wider, just lift. Don't have to do very much. It looks like I might have to get the gums slightly darker, but it's getting close. And when I put this bottom line of the teeth in, that shape that's the line underneath the top teeth, the teeth will pop. And you'll see that here in a second. I'm going to put that shape underneath her nose in now. It's very light. And by doing it, I'm going to overlap the bottom part just a little bit. And when I do that, that part gets a lot darker. See, that makes the forms that line. And I'm going to bring that on down. And it gets pretty light as it goes across. So there's the shape. That's the shape I was after. I haven't got the dark part in yet, but I will put that in when it dries. So I'm touching up any shapes I see that I've left. There's some of the small ones. I'm gonna, the black nostril is black, this black, and what I've done is added some magenta to it. So it's not stark black. And it's just a small, very small line. Just enough. And that really helps give it a three-dimensional look. And then I'm going to fix this value over here. There's a shape underneath her nose. It goes light on the top and then, or dark on the top, yeah. And then it gets dark over here. So I just soften that up a little bit. So I get the value right. Play with it until I get the value right with a very damp brush. Just working on getting those values right. Okay, how are we doing? Questions, answers? We're getting close to
Do you want to take a look, Ron?
look at where you are. Hopefully this is dead on what you wanted to see.
Ron,
You get to watch me have fun. Does anybody want to show their piece?
okay, I can.
All right.
Where is?
Oh my, you went dark very quick.
Yeah,
Um,
and my eyes are not
However,
similar.
I'm studying this. See, the dark line under her left eye is not, look at the reference photo, is those values are darker than what I see on the photo. So you can lift some of that, Rob,
Okay,
and make those lighter, not so dark. However, I say that she will grow into these values a little bit, but that particular line on her left bottom eye is too dark. So that's the only thing I'd fix for now.
okay,
They're great and good values and good job lips. It's just that one
great. I'm
line.
fixing.
And you know how lines bother me sometimes. Okay, who else?
I've got mine.
Oh, yeah. Okay, very nice. Yeah, eyes are spot on beautiful. I'm looking at the reference photo. Yeah, you got it. That's exactly, you got where the mouth ends and begins. The expression you can already see is coming together nicely. So yeah, very nicely done. Paying attention to the shapes is paying off for you. And that's very well done.
Thank you.
And we have anybody else, Helen or Alice, you want to show something? How about Alice? You want to show us yours?
I'll be glad to show you. I'm not sure I know how.
You don't have
Well,
your mic on, but I can relift.
Have my mic on? I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do? Just hold it up?
Okay, then let's see what you got. Let me spotlight it for you. Boy, that's nice. Yeah.
But you turn sideways.
Okay. All right. I'm looking sideways. Yeah. That's we look at your reference. Now, I know you have a little bit of eye problem, but the only thing I've changed is those eyes are too big, and the lips or the upper eyelids cover more of the eye than you have there. See?
Okay.
So you need to fix that. The lips are well done. It's just the eyes are too big, and the eyelids cover more of the eye than that. So that was
Okay.
nicely done. Proud of you. And we have, not last but least, we have Patty.
Okay. For some reason, I can't find the photo you sent. So I've just been taking notes and trying to,
That's okay.
good, but the eyes are not.
Okay, hold that up. Don't be that way. Actually, that's really good. Let me tell you why it's good. Number one, a good distribution and attention to values. And the only thing you're missing is just the closer being able to have your reference photo, which you don't have. However, I'm going to tell you right now, there are a lot of people who paint exactly like that and are in the National Watercolor Society. So just throw that out at you. It's a style. I really like the style where you have, it's more expression of what you see. And you've had the values, you got the shapes right. There's I think I mentioned to you another gentleman in the other class who has his own style, and you might want to play with this more and be more, not try to be exactly like the photograph, because your interpretation of this is very cool. Very
Well, thank you. You made my day.
I encourage you, if that's something you like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to go with it.
Okay. What is his
I
name?
was trying to find people's style, and it's kind of hard to find sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Do you
that
know
would
his?
be not painting a portrait like a print or a photograph, but taking a look at someone and drawing that person interpretively like that. And then when you paint it well, like you just did, you painted it well. At first I was going to say the lower lip's too big, but I like it interpretively. If you paint it well, and you did, it's really cool. So I hope you understand kind of what I'm trying to say to you.
Thank you. Do you know the gentleman's name offhand?
Yes, I do. He's not a famous artist, and I can't give you his name. I'll ask him if it'd be okay if I gave him his name, but you got to see some of those other pieces.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll email it to you. I just need his, he's not a public figure, and I don't want to do that without permission, but I'll make a note to give that to you.
Thank
And
you.
I'll try to find a couple of pieces and send them to you, and you'll know what I mean when you see it.
Okay.
So today we have 5 minutes left, and we can go over because I had a slow start, and I apologize for that.
Okay.
And my wife has got our little 14-year-old bearded collie, grand champion, the love of her life, at the hospital. So hoping everything's going good there now. She had to go into Tampa. So that kind of got me started off. But
Is she at the Blue Pearl?
what was beneficial to you today?
Ron,
Yes.
is she at the Blue Pearl?
Yes.
That's the best.
Mhm.
Been there. We can relate.
Mm.
Anybody have any comments from today? Anything we want to change for next week? Continue on this path, this journey we're on? I think we have 3 more, right?
Right.
Ron, I want to say thank you. Just you're taking the time with the details. That helped me tremendously because I see the shapes, but I didn't know what colors or values. So that really helped. Thank you.
Well, it pays off in your painting. And Rob, I thought you did a nice job. It's just that one line bothered me, but
All right,
you'll
I worked on it while you were
go to
talking.
sleep tonight knowing that line is still there.
Yeah, something I learned is mix your eye colors together.
Yeah, I just can't imagine how that can work. It's a little tricky.
No, I mean, what happened was I did the left eye, I made the color and then I had to make the second color and yeah, I should draw from the same puddle.
Yeah. That's again, some of this, Rob, like I mentioned before, I was just talking to Patty about it. This is that you have to be kind of careful. I've seen people in workshops and classes who you can almost see are beginning to have a style that's different than the teacher and different and unique. And it's a balance between, is it right or is it a great interpretation? Because there are a whole lot of artists out there that paint with watercolors and they don't paint like me. So as characteristics that show that you have a style, I want to encourage that. Now, if your objective is I want to paint realistic and I want to paint perfectly, well, that's different. But if you're painting and you say, I like to be a little more interpretive, then I'm going to encourage you to, test some of those little techniques and styles you have. And
I like seeing the approach, the videos that you showed. I found that very helpful.
okay. And those will be available on, well, this video will be available since I did record it. So thank you, Rob. And look, Jennifer, we really miss her.
Yeah, when you say available, what does that mean?
I recorded today. And what I'll do is also send you a link to those two videos. And I have a video on the blue guy that's over on my other computer. It wasn't worth the time. I had the PowerPoint. But I'll send you 2 videos. I will also send you a video of today's class.